Welcome to Kim Talks Resilience, where we share stories of insight and inspiration in life, love, and business with resilient women from around the world. Speaking with authors, entrepreneurs, founders, and coaches to learn their strategies for a more resilient life so we can all build the life we love. I'm your host, Kim Hayden. Robin Hitt is one of those people that I've had the opportunity to meet, and I'm excited for her to take this platform and share her story to help people. She is the author of the book, Open-Eyed Adoption, Real Help for Those Parenting Adoptees. It was just released March 7th, so we'll have all that information in our show notes. As an adoptive mom, her research, including interviews with adoptive parents, adult adoptees, doctors, and therapists, has become this new book to encourage, educate, and equip adoptive parents as well as adult adoptees. Robin is a life and business coach and a certified Daring Way Facilitator in the work of Dr. Brené Brown, and leads workshops on topics like imperfection, shame, and vulnerability. She lives in Colorado with her husband and a mini labradoodle. That's going to be the cutest dog ever. I mean, who doesn't love labradoodles? I would love to have a dog that doesn't shed all over me all the time, but well, that's a whole nother show. Welcome to the show, Dr. Robin. There you go. Welcome to the show, Robin. I had too many doctors this morning.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. We're going to edit this little piece here out real quick. Can you go up and touch your gain again, or have your husband see if we can touch that little thing just a little bit, turn it down a little bit?
I wish I knew what gain. Okay, come back.
And just touch the gain, bring it down just a wee bit more.
Okay. I should have looked to see what the gain was. I didn't know what the gain was. And he just did it.
I know. It's all these guys. Thank goodness we all have husbands roaming around and adult sons who know everything.
I'm touching things, but I don't know what a gain is.
Yeah, it's a little knob. It's a little knob. When he comes in, don't worry about it. We'll just keep kind of rolling.
Okay. Can you touch the gain again, please? For some reason, the gain needs to be down, right? You're saying it needs to
I think that's what John did last time. So we just want to bring that down just a wee bit more.
Okay. Is that better? Better?
It's getting better. It's getting better. Maybe bring it down just a wee bit.
Where is the gain? Okay, the bottom one. Okay, now I know what a gain is.
Are you originally from Colorado? You cannot be with that Texan. You got a Texan accent, or is that a Texan accent? Yes, I'm from Wichita, Kansas.
Oh my goodness!
I'm sitting here going, that is not a Colorado accent.
Nope, I was raised in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I was born in Wichita.
Wichita Falls or Wichita?
Kansas.
Really?
Yes.
You're born
is that
in
better,
Wichita.
Kim? Is that better?
A little bit better. It's a little bit better. Let's just keep going and see what we can do.
Okay. The volume is going to go up and the gain is going down. Is that any better at all?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some sort of, we're having a little bit of a funny connection.
Okay. Tell me what to do.
Turn down your volume.
Volume on the computer?
Yeah.
Okay. This. Are you doing it?
Here, you can do it up there, but let's see.
Okay, I'm turning down my volume. Is that any better?
Yeah, no, I think it's just the connection. I think it's just going to be our connection at this point in time. So let's just continue. And all this does is make us do it again if we need be.
Okay.
But we'll just continue.
Okay.
How's that? Yeah.
I'd be happy to, get out and get in, whatever you need me to do.
So what hospital in Wichita were you born in?
St. Francis.
St. Francis. I'm with you. We were both born.
I was way before you, like about a decade and a half before you.
Oh no,
but
I'm 54, sweetie. We're not a decade and a half apart. Not even no. So
uh, okay. Well, I'm
okay.
67 almost in May.
Wow,
So
really?
I'm ahead of you. Yeah. I think you
I
said
thought
you
I
were
thought John was just the sugar daddy, and you were just like,
he told me when he was 11, I'm going to marry you. And I went, so
oh,
he's
too
a
funny.
goal-oriented person. How
Oh,
are we
those
doing?
texts.
How
I
are
think
we
we're
doing on the
okay.
sound?
I think
Okay.
we're okay. Let's give it a shot and see what
Okay.
happens here. All right. So, Robin, share with me a little bit of who you are now that we know that we were both born at the same hospital. So, who are you, Robin?
Yes. I think I'm a lot of things. Within, I think my core, I guess I go to values as a coach. I just think of, what I value as part of who I am. And I think I am a learner. I'm a person who's becoming. I'm a person who loves pretty fiercely, relational, very relational. And yeah, I always have to remind myself to be courageous. And I think that's what drew me to the work of Dr. Brené Brown, because I think I was pretty timid growing up, but because I like to learn and become, I think that's kind of where I've landed, just reminding myself, go for it. So
Yeah,
once,
just we don't get do-overs, that's for sure.
right. And, we're going to get older, whether we learn or not. So I figure, why not I remember looking ahead one day and I thought, I'm going to be 55 someday. I don't know how old I was, but I thought, I'm scared to take this on, whatever it was. I think it was coaching, deciding to become a coach. And I thought, I'm going to be 55, whether I am a coach or not. So I might as well become a coach. So that kind of thing is kind of pushing me forward, I think.
Excellent. And yeah, time time waits for no one. Time waits for
No.
no one, and it's not going to wait for you to make a decision of whether or not you do something. So let's
Mm-mm.
go in a little bit as to what you're doing.
What I'm doing, well, I'm a life and business coach. I like to help people listen primarily to their whatever they bring to the table, but I like to help them move from where they are to where they want to be. So whether it's a business owner or a woman who's in transition of some kind, um, and most recently adoptive parents, mainly moms who just feel like, what am I doing? I'm kind of this big failure. I didn't think I'd be here now. So I do like to coach. I do love to do workshops around things like vulnerability, resilience, and courage, shame, that kind of thing that we all find ourselves in at one time or another. So love to do that. I like to co-labor with a therapist friend of mine, colleague, and we do it together mostly, although I've done them by myself. But we like the energy that, we feed off of each other. And then most recently, I've become an author. I have a book published on adoption. So those are the things I do
Have you
professionally.
have you gone through the adoption system yourself, the program? Have you adopted? Okay.
Yes, I'm an adoptive mom. We adopted when our babies were infants, 2 days old and 5 days old, respectively. And so, yes, we've raised adoptees.
And
Although I never called them that.
yeah,
It's sort of weird. Put that on them.
exactly. It's like, yeah, it's
They're our children.
I think it's a hard one because I had a friend when I was growing up who was adopted, and you know, I mean, from birth, and it was a totally different, almost dialogue in her head,
Right.
right? It was like,
Yep.
as she got older or more aware of what she was doing or how she was doing it, she would look around and she goes, is this something from learned behavior or is this something, from like a genetic, right? And
Right. Yeah, nurture,
nurture and
um,
nature. So,
nature.
and
Yeah.
is that a common dialogue inside the head of an adoptee child as they're growing up? And how does that affect the
I
home?
I would call that a monologue, and yes, I think so. Because unfortunately, they didn't share that kind of stuff with me, and so it was a monologue, and I couldn't reach a monologue. If they would have opened up and said some of those things, I probably would have, you know, well, I know I would have been alerted to it first of all, but many things I found out years later that they were grappling with, I had no idea because I had we never gave birth to any children. I didn't have a practice run, so I didn't know that there were any differences between adoptees and biological kids. So I think that's what prompted me to look around when I started seeing these things sort of unravel before me. Because at first it was the perfect family, loved everything about it. I homeschooled for probably till 8th grade. And then because I just wanted them near me. And my husband was an airline pilot, so we traveled a lot. And I loved learning as we traveled. And I loved the influence that we could have on them and just the family culture that we made and created and kept going for a long time. So that was our world. And I had no idea what was going on in their head. And I don't really think a lot was probably until they went to school and heard other kids and, started interacting. I think that's
The
when
peer influence. Yeah.
questions really came up because in our case, they were domestic Caucasian adoptions at birth. So, in other words, they didn't come through the foster care system. They didn't have anywhere else that they had lived, no other prior experience except in the womb. So, for that reason, I thought there's no trauma and there's nothing to deal with. They're just our babies and we can go home and make a life and, everything will be great. We'll just love them to death, which we did. But things started unraveling. We saw the teenage angst and I just chalked it up to, hey, I was a really rebellious teenager myself. So, nothing to report. This is normal. And while a lot of that maybe could be true, there was something much more going on inside of their hearts, which they couldn't even articulate. I don't think there was room to talk about it because I just, there's nothing to report. So I didn't know to go and ask a lot of questions. I just, you know, uh, carried on. So
Yeah,
that's
I have 3 children and each child is incredibly unique. Like they're all different from
all
each other,
right.
right? So there
Yes.
isn't just like everybody's like this, everybody's like that. Um,
Cookie cutter.
exactly. But I can
Yeah.
see certain personality traits that they have genetically inherited from one parent or the
Mhm.
other. So
Right.
anxiety or, just different
Could be
traits.
anything.
Yeah. And,
Mhm.
I would and, those traits haven't like, those traits haven't been really really recognizable until they were young adults. Is
Right.
that when you
Yes.
started seeing that, no matter if they had been homeschooled all the way up to university, you probably
Yeah.
still would have seen these differences. What was that like when
Right.
you started, coming through that era? You've had this incredible childhood, and you know what? They are so stinking sweet when they're 6 and 7 and 8, and you're doing the
The
princess
best.
parties, and
The best.
and you get, and they're
Right.
proud that you show up at their Girl Scouts or their Girl Guides or at their school, or any kind of function or birthday party or church event that you're doing. And then you hit
Right.
those angsty teenagers, and then you hit those young adults where they have to go through that phase until they're like 27, where you obviously know nothing, right? So
And you're
you're
fired.
fired. Mom's fired. Walk me through
Yeah.
that as an adoptive parent. Because like you said, they don't
Well,
come with toe tags, and
yeah, I
you
know.
didn't have an instruction manual.
That's what, I'm a retired RN. So I worked all in the ICU with all the regulations and structure. And, it was, there it is. This is what you do. You follow the manual. Well, with kids, like you just said, that's not anywhere near the truth. And so you just have to wing it as you go. And I thought, if you love these kids, what could go wrong? I mean, we're just going to love them through it. So, yeah, after they went to college, they both got full scholarships to college, which was a blessing for us. And for them, they chose the colleges that they wanted to go to in different states, both of them. And it was fine. I mean, we still didn't notice anything really because they weren't under our noses, and we thought, oh, there they go. They're growing up and they're doing what they want to do. It was after college when they both came home and they seemed to be looking to us to provide happiness. And, it really surprised us that they didn't have some goal in mind or some, I mean, even when they were majoring, it looked like they were going on a trajectory of success in, however they wanted to do their lives. And they both got home, and that's when we really noticed, wow, what in the world, wasn't prepared for that at all. They had no plans, no real interest in doing anything. It just seemed to be in our lap to figure out their life, which was shocking. One of them didn't want to leave at all, wanted to just kind of stay with us. And the other one was just angsty about being there, but didn't have a plan. So we were just like, wow. And then one of them got into this really scary relationship with a guy from another country and who was visiting, and that just scared us to death. He had, without getting too personal, it wasn't good. It just was not a good situation. And so had a bad breakup, and sort of, we were instrumental in trying to make that happen, threw ourselves under the bus, so to speak, just because we were scared for our daughter. And anyway, after that, I just kind of, our relationship with that daughter was very tenuous, and my heart was broken. I was like, I don't even know what we do now. And so I remember, and it's in the book. One time we were at the movies trying to kind of console our sorrow and think about something else. We needed a diversion. And in the middle of the lobby of the theater, she said, guess what? My birth mom got in touch with me on Facebook, and I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I think, I don't know. I'm just thinking about that. And I was like, that's all we need. So I was not prepared for that either. And so that sent me on a quest to find out maybe there's something about this adoption that I have never considered. And I started, I talked with a friend who had adopted the same day we did, although I hadn't talked to her in 30 years. And she said, oh, we need to talk. So that was the beginning of my research. And I found out a lot I didn't know.
Wow. And would you say that's like a moment of resiliency for you? That moment where it's like you could have either curled up and said, I did everything the right way. I was the best mom ever. I gave the best house ever. Why is this happening? That is one avenue. That is one avenue. And the reality is that is most people's path.
Yeah, I think I did that first, to be honest. I just kind of crumpled up and cried a lot and just went, what did I do wrong? I didn't feel like a great mom at that moment. I just thought surely it was something that I did that was horribly wrong. And so, yeah, it took me a while actually to feel like I was a good mom. And that was the resilience of it. But yeah, there was a lot of crying, a lot of what happened, what just happened. I felt like that cartoon where they hit the people in the head with the frying pan.
Yep.
That's kind of where I was for a while. And then but I did ask for help. I did reach out to this mom for the first time. I didn't know I needed a community of adoptive parents. Had no idea, because I never looked at them as adopted. There was just not really any room in our hearts or in our home to talk about adoption, because that's how much I didn't think of them as being adopted. I thought of them as ours completely. But what I didn't know, and I know now, is there will always be an adoption triad. There is a birth mom, there is a child, and there is an adoptive mom. Always. I mean, you are continually connected, whether you want to be or not. And now my heart is so different toward both of their birth moms than it was. I felt, and I know this is very common because I've interviewed a lot of adoptive parents, I felt so threatened by that, because here I was being the mom, and what was my place? What was their place? And for years, I just didn't. It was kind of like this part of the triangle was just kind of forgotten. Like, I don't want to talk about that because I'm the mom here, and it's embarrassing, But I think it's real, especially after talking with so many adoptive moms. There just is such a threatening feeling for adoptive parents. So get that out there. And just, I've met both of their birth moms and love them. Wish we could be together more. I wish I could do it over, but I want to tell other people, please, see this as valid, because it is. It's always in their heart.
So what can a reader expect from your book, Open-Dyed Adoption?
I wrote it for the adoptive mom because I had felt such shame at times, and I thought that can't be right. And then all my work with Brené Brown's stuff about what do you do with shame? Well, how do you deal with it? And so I went on my own journey first, did my own work. Then I started realizing that I'm not the only one. And I wrote it for adoptive moms primarily because the mom is the one that gets all the pushback from the kid, because in their heart, they're thinking, hey, I was given up once. So what's it going to take for you to give me up? I mean, that sounds brutal to me when I say it, but that's a real finding in research. And so I wrote it for the adoptive mom to realize, look, you've been a good mom. You've done the brave thing. You've been there, and you've given and given and given. And it's not your fault. There's more at play than just what we're seeing on the surface. And so I go into what's at play. And I hope that adoptive parents can just feel encouraged and equipped. And I give some resources in there for various things that happen. But to my surprise, I have heard from birth moms and adult adoptees. They have called me, texted me, emailed me. Oh my gosh, I'm crying. I didn't expect to get anything out of your book. I just bought it to be nice.
Oh, what every
like,
self-published author wants to hear. Okay, keep going.
Well, so yeah, Morgan James was my publisher, but anyway.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, just to give, thank you, Morgan James. But I was like, okay, that's real. You just bought it to be nice. But they started reading it, and they were like, I didn't expect to get anything, but as a birth mom or as an adult adoptee, I am riveted. I couldn't put it down. One of my friends that I had known for decades, I didn't know she was adopted. She's an adult and has raised a child herself. And she emailed me the other day and said, I read it in like 2 days. I couldn't put it down. She said, answers so many of my questions. I thought, you had questions? It's just kind of been surprising at the people who have been touched, kind of as a bonus. I mean, that's what I'm going to call it, because I was thinking about the adoptive parent. So it is touching the adoptive triad. There's currently 100 million Americans, 100 million. That's about a third of the country who are currently impacted in their immediate family by adoption in some way. That doesn't include the doctors, therapists, friends who support them. So
I believe
it's a big
that. My
deal.
oldest is adopted by my husband.
There
So,
you go.
and yeah, I do have a question, because you talk about shame. Is part of the shame or fear of not wanting to talk about it or directly engaging the adoption aspect, is that associated to a inner self, or maybe the disappointment within one's body? Because I know that a lot of women who go through adoption have already gone through the disappointment of their body letting them down, of their body not
Yeah.
doing it. So yeah,
Infertility or whatever, miscarriages,
yeah,
that's a big part of it. I think people who go through infertility are already sort of at a, I don't want to, I don't know the word. They're just feeling a little bit less than already.
yeah,
I'm less of a woman. I couldn't do this. I'm supposed to be able to do this and I can't do it. So they might go into adoption thinking this is plan B.
yeah.
And that's kind of not a great place to start. You're always trying to prove yourself as a woman, as a mom. So there's always that running in the background. And I would suggest, I mean, if I would have known, I would have done this, to get some counseling prior, and sort of work through all that
Yeah.
stuff. It's not the fix. Adoption isn't a fix for
No,
infertility.
it's an option, not a fix.
Exactly.
I get it. I have watched women who have chosen not to have children at all, and then
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
hit their 50s and 60s, and they go, "Oh, maybe I should have, I
Mm,
wasn't always going to be 38 and on this great career trajectory." And I've met
right.
people who have had a gazillion children and go, "Why?"
What was I thinking?
Um, and then
Sounded like a good idea at the
And
time.
then somebody that when you go through, the adoption, that whole, like, we had to work on our side as to what is the language, because my husband and I have two biological children together. But then
Mhm.
my oldest, which was the child that came with me, there was this whole piece of, he knew he was adopted. He was
Right.
6 years old, and then these other
Mm,
kids come along, right? So how do
mhm.
we ensure that he understands that he has a rightful place within the home, that he is wanted? And so there's a lot of
Right.
language around that, to where when the
Mhm.
kids hit teenage years, the oldest is going, "Well, at least I was picked. You just happened."
Right.
I'm going,
Right.
"Ooh,
Yeah.
that's not nice. Maybe we did too good of a job here."
Right. Yeah.
S-
Yeah. There's so many moving parts with well, blended families and biological, whether it's,
Yeah.
all kinds of adoptions.
And I would think that this would be
Open.
a really good book for anybody who's looking at blending families, because I'm going to guess that there are a lot of parallels that can,
Yes.
and things that can be applied from the books, strategies, tactics, just languages and such, from the book to help blend that family better?
I think so. And I guess an overarching there are a few themes, but love is not enough is one of the themes. We're not just going to love these kids into, great human beings. There are issues that go far beyond, our love, and we just need to understand what's going on. And so the other theme, I guess, would be listen to our kids. I did a lot of telling because I was the adult. Don't do that, whatever, teaching, which we are supposed to do. But I wish that I would have listened more and asked more questions to find out what are you thinking right now? What are you feeling? And explore those things. And I think that's across the board. I don't care what kind of parent you are, blended, biological, adoption, whatever. I think it's so important. I mean, we are feelers primarily who think and do, not the other way around. So if we're not sure, what are you feeling? And I think too, if we start that when they're very young, when they get to teenagehood and don't want to talk to us, it won't be a new thing. We're still asking, how are you feeling? And hopefully it would be an easier transition than to all of a sudden start asking, what are you feeling? Because they don't want to talk to you then. So, but I do think that one of the themes would be listen way more. And the older they get, the more important that is, to listen, because a lot of things are going on. I found out a long time ago after it happened, like after my kid got out of college, she told me what happened in 8th grade lunchroom. One of the things was the kids were saying, hey, does that mean if you're bad, they can give you back? And her reply was, I don't think so. And I was horrified,
Yep.
that I didn't know what had happened. And I thought, man, I wish I could go back to that very day and ask her, what happened in the lunchroom today? Any great conversations? But I think we get caught up in the day-to-day life. Your lessons are coming, or, did you do your homework, and did you clean the bathroom, and, just all the things. And it's just so important to listen and, be present.
Be present.
That would be
Be present. That's the big key right there.
yes.
Give us your socials. Where can people find you, follow you, and engage you?
Yeah, I'm at Hitt Robin on Instagram, RobinHittCoaching on Facebook, and I am RobinHitt.com on a website.
On a website. I get it.
On a website.
I know. And can they reach your socials through your website? And where can they get the book?
Yes. Yes. You can get it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, anywhere books are sold. It came out March 7th. And I'm hoping that a lot of people that know people that are adopted, I know there's conversations all the time that are happening, man, my friend needs that. They're really going through it. Well, get it for your friend.
Absolutely.
So, and you read it too.
Absolutely. All righty, Robin, take us out with a quote that inspires you, something that is a kind of a North Star for you.
Yeah. I think I put in show up every day, which is good. But I think my quote that I really live by is take courage, dear heart. That's what I live by, really.
Take courage, dear heart. Is that from Wizard of Oz by chance? No.
I'm trying to remember where it's from, but it just resonates with me because I'm sort of timid by nature, and dear heart is a compassion sentence to myself,
Oh, beautiful.
because instead of saying, you stupid idiot, get out there and do something good, which I think is probably more normal, but I have trained and am training myself because I teach self-compassion. And so I'm working it myself. And so take courage, dear heart is a compassionate statement that reminds me to show up and, do what I want to do to impact people.
Awesome. Well, being two girls from Kansas, of course, we can't close this show out without a Wizard of Oz quote.
Right.
Just remember, you've always had the answers within you. We all have the answers within ourselves, Thank you, Glenda the Good Witch. You are correct. We have the answers within us. Until next time, everybody, be good to yourself. Thank you for joining us here today at Kim Talks Resilience. I'm your host, Kim Hayden, and I'd love to invite you to our resilient community at resilientgift.com. That's resilientgift.com, and we'll send you our magazine and tickets for upcoming events and all sorts of cool things we do here. So be sure to keep watching, and you know what? Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, because we all know that sharing is caring.